this video, I'm going to run through all the techniques used in Zen Yarn Garden's new free pattern for a brioche shawl. And here's mine. Mine's in progress, and I'll give you a close-up look at it because I'm sure you can't see exactly how gorgeous it is. But this is, as of now, this is their brand new pattern, and there isn't really a name for this pattern, but there might be a name by the time we release it. And so right now I'm calling it the Zen Yarn Garden Luxe Blanks Brioche Shawl. So it might have a new name by the time this comes out, but if you'd like to get your copy of the pattern, just click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner, and that'll get you to the free Ravelry download for the pattern. And the reason I'm calling this the Luxe Blanks Brioche Shawl is because it's knit with Zen Yarn Garden's new blanks, meaning you knit from the yarn that is already knit up. And what this does, it's knit really loosely, and what this does is it gives Zen Yarn Garden an opportunity to put really unique dye patterns on the yarn. And so I have a bunch of them here I'm going to show you. Or I think there are a dozen colors available. I just have a few of them. And this is actually folded in half so I can get it all on camera. And this one is called Pizzazz, and this is knit with their Serenity Silk yarn, which is fingering weight and 75% superwash merino, 15% cashmere, and 10% silk. It's really nice to work with. And you can imagine, because it's already in the blanks, the yarn is fabulous. So that one's called Pizzazz. This one is called Cinder. And again, I'm just showing you a few of the colors. And you can see how the color can, you can have gradient color throughout when you're knitting from blanks. I love this one. This one's called Mishmash, and it has red and blues. And this one's, oh, this is so pretty. This one's called Mulberry. I'm trying to show you both sides so you can see, and this is purples and black, maybe gray. I love this. You'll need 2 sock blanks to knit this, and for the most impact with the brioche stitch, it's best to pick 2 contrasting colors, 2 really different colors, which is why I picked this mostly purple one and this mostly blue one for mine. And I'll give you a close-up of just how those colors are going to change because it's really exciting. So click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner, and also in the video description field, I will have links to Zen Yarn Garden's blanks, the Luxe blanks, so you can pick out your colors and get started with that. And there's also some information that I'm going to link to about knitting from blanks. So really the ideal thing is just to unravel and knit at the same time, and the knit in these blanks is loose enough. It's not going to be super kinky yarn, but you do have some options. Like I actually wound mine into cakes to use it, and the reason I did that is mainly because I have a puppy, and it's easier to protect a cake of yarn than it is to try to protect a whole big, 6-foot long blank. So I wound mine up. You can also work straight from the blank, or you can actually wind it into a hank like on your Swift, and then wash the kinks out if you want. Really not necessary for this pattern, but if you want to use it for something else, and I'll show you. I'll give you a close-up of my shawl in progress here to see that. Anyway, I am going to take you through the setup rows and the pattern repeat. So, and then once you get started on the pattern repeat, it's the same thing over and over again. So I am going to make sure you are 100% ready to start this brioche shawl, and that's coming up next. Okay, we are ready to get started on this shawl, but first I want to give you a close-up look at my shawl in progress. Let's take a look. Okay, you can see here the 2 colors. This is the right side of the work, so the main color is what you see in the knit stitch in the spines. Here is the center spine, and we have increases along the center, and we also have increases along the edges here. And on the wrong side of the work, the contrasting color is where you see the spines. So it's pretty on both sides. And of course this yarn is gorgeous and it feels great. And I wish I had more time to knit up more of this. I'm telling you, it's a brand new pattern. But you can see that I have a little bit of the yarn change, the color change happening here, between here and here. But if I knit a little bit more, we're going to see my, my yarns change a lot. Look how much my yarns are going to change. How fun. I think color changes in yarns are so exciting. That's all it takes for me is the color to change. I am fully entertained. So I am going to use, to run through this pattern, I'm going to use worsted weight yarn that is not exciting and much bigger needles. Even though this uses size 5 needles, this pattern uses pretty big needles for fingering weight yarn. I'm going to use size 9 so you can really see what I'm doing. And I'm going to make this darker blue my main color. And we're going to start with an I-cord tab, which this is the first time I've ever worked an I-cord tab in a shawl. Start with a slip knot. You have to use double pointed needles or circular needles for this whole shawl, but especially for this little part here. Because when it's brioche and you slide the work back and forth, it'll make sense in a minute. Slip knot, cast on 3 stitches, and without turning the work, slide the stitches over to the other side of the needle. So my working yarn is coming from here instead of where it would normally be coming from, and I'm going to knit across these stitches. And then again, I'm not going to turn the work. We're making I-cord, the I-cord tab. Don't turn the work, slide it to the other end. And that is 3. I want to do this 8 times. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Now I am working exactly from the pattern, so I'm going to work all of these setup rows with you and get you going on the pattern. I have a split stitch here I want to fix. Okay. And so I've worked this. I'm going to work the I-cord, turn it 90 degrees, and it says to pick up and knit 7 stitches along the I-cord edge. And I'm going to start here and cram one in on this very first stitch for a reason. That was 3. I want to go under both legs of the V. 4, 5, 6, 7. Now there's a little, it looks like I could have crammed one more stitch in there. I want to leave that because of this next part. I'm going to turn the work, and now I want to pick up 3 stitches from the cast on edge. You see, I left that there so I have more room to pick up my next stitch. So this is the tail end of the yarn. This is my cast on edge. Just work, well, first of all, let me say, your working yarn's coming from this stitch, but we're going to start over here and work towards the working yarn. And it feels awkward, it's kind of backwards, but it's because of the I-cord. And don't worry too much about your stitches here, just get them in there. There's that last one. Okay, I picked up my 3 stitches, and now it says to, whoops, Oh, I'm actually on the, I have this pattern memorized so much that I didn't realize that I was done with the I-cord cast on, and this is set up row A. I pick up a knit, 3 stitches along cast on edge, and now I'm going to start a pattern of slip 1, yarn over, purl 1. And slip 1 yarn over, it's defined in the pattern. You want to yarn forward, slip the next stitches to purl, and then there's a yarn over that comes with this also. And then I want to yarn forward to purl 1. Slip 1, yarn over, purl 1. Slip 1, yarn over, purl 1. You do that until you have 4 stitches left, and then you slip 1 yarn over one more time and slip those 3 stitches with the yarn in front. Do not turn the work. We're going to slide everything to the other end of the needle, and the setup row B, we are going to introduce our second color, which I'm going to use this. Not as beautiful as the Zen Yarn Garden yarns, but it's easy for you to see. So I'm going to slip these first 3 stitches, the I-cord edge, as if to knit, as if to purl, geez, as if to purl. And then I'm going to brioche knit 1. And a brioche knit stitch is, it's abbreviated BRK1, is you're going to knit the stitch and the shawl yarn over, the yarn over shawl together. So I'm going to knit these 2 stitches together and attach my working yarn, brioche knit 1, and then slip 1 yarn over, and we're going to continue that pattern to the last 4 stitches. So yarn forward to slip 1, and then I want to yarn over, and my next stitch is a knit, right? So it just kind of flops over the needle into the knit stitch. Yarn forward, slip 1, flop it over, knit those 2 together. I have 4 stitches left. I'm going to brioche knit one more time, leave the yarn in the back of the work, and slip 3. Okay, we have these setup rows to get through, and then it's the same thing over and over, I promise, but just stick with me on these setup rows. Okay, now I'm going back to my main color. I'm going to knit 3 stitches, and then slip 1 yarn over. And here's my first increase. This one's called brioche knit, yarn over, brioche knit. So I'm going to knit these 2 stitches, or the yarn over and the stitch together, and leave that stitch on the needle because I want to yarn over and then knit it again. And I just increase by 1. And then I want to slip 1 yarn over. And this next one is a 4-stitch increase. So knit 1, leave it on there, yarn over, knit 1, leave it on there, yarn over, knit 1. Okay, you can see these are the increases that we use in the main part of the shawl too. Slip 1 yarn over, and where I'm on my pattern, I want to do another yarn over increase with just a single yarn over, slip 1 yarn over, and then slip 3 with yarn in front. So I pull the yarn forward and slip 3. Do not turn the work. Slide everything over, and your contrasting color should be waiting there for you. Start by slipping 3. And now I want to brioche purl 1 stitch. So I have the stitch and the yarn over. I'm going to purl those 2 together, and then slip 1 yarn over, just a regular old purl, slip 1 yarn over, oops, where am I? Slip 1 yarn over. I want to brioche purl 1, whoops, and here I am up to that little clump of increases I did with the 2 yarn overs. I want to slip 1 yarn over, purl 1 twice. Then slip 1 yarn over, brioche purl, slip 1 yarn over, a regular purl, slip 1 yarn over, a brioche purl, drop the yarn to the front of your work and slip 3. Okay, I promise we are almost done with these setup rows. Okay, back to main color. We turn the work, set up row 3A, knit 3. You always do the main color. You knit the I-cord edge in the main color. Now this is just alternating slip 1 yarn over, brioche purl 1 until you get to the last 4 stitches. This is just like the main part of the pattern. So slip 1 yarn over, brioche purl 1. Just alternating those. Until you have 4 stitches left. You slip 1 yarn over one more time, drop the yarn to the front of the work and slip 3. Don't turn the work. We still have to catch up with the contrasting color. If you haven't noticed the pattern yet, we work first across with the main color, then the contrasting color. Okay, we're going to slip these first 3 stitches. And then this one, I'm just going to alternate brioche knit 1 with slip 1 yarn over. Until you have 4 stitches left. And let's take a look at this. I have my 1, 2, 3 edge stitches. I have this stitch with the yarn over shawl and this stitch here. This stitch with the yarn over shawl counts as 1 stitch. So I have one more slip 1 yarn over to do. Whoops, yes. And then I'm going to, and then I have 4 stitches left. I'm going to brioche knit those, drop yarn to the back of the work, slip 3 and turn. Okay. Those were the setup rows, and now I want to get into the brioche pattern a little bit, and I'm going to switch to circular needles for this. I turn the work, and row A is knit 3 stitches. And this is slip 1 yarn over, brioche knit 1. Just alternating those to the last 4 stitches. And you can stay on double pointed needles if you want. But there's, on row 3, you kind of want to be able to spread your work out a little bit. We're done with double pointed needles now. And 1B, I'm going to slip 3, and this one is alternating brioche purl 1, slip 1 yarn over. Whoops. One more brioche purl, and on this one I want to drop the yarn in the front of the work and slip and turn the work. I want to get you through row 3 of this because that's where interesting things happen again. This is row 2A, knit 3. On this one I'm going to alternate slip 1 yarn over, brioche purl 1. Whoops, yarn forward to purl. One more slip one yarn over and slip the 3 with yarn in front. Okay, and then 2B, you're starting to see a pattern here. Slip 3, whoops, I want to get my working yarn in back. Slip 3, and then brioche knit 1, slip 1 yarn over. So the rows, excuse me, 1, 2, and 4 are all just kind of the same thing over and over again. It's just 3 was an increase row. And on 2B, leave the yarn in the back of the work and slip 3. Okay, I'm going to slide this out to the cord so you can see. This is the wrong side of the work because the contrasting color is showing up as the knit spines. And this is the right side of the work, and the darker blue is showing up. And I want to go through this, this increase row, which is really exactly like the increase row that we had in the setup rows, with one difference. So 3A, I want to knit 3, slip 1 yarn over. Whoops, I didn't yarn forward first. Slip 1 yarn over, and then a single, whoops, what have I done? I didn't knit 3, that wasn't what my problem was. Slip 1 yarn over, because I'm looking at my pattern. I want to do a single yarn over increase in this first stitch, and then slip 1 yarn over, brioche knit 1, until I get to the center spine. And that's why I wanted to pull things into, so you could stretch things out a little bit. I'll tell you, on your first time through, it's twice. You repeat knit 1 yarn over, brioche knit 1 twice, and then your 1 stitch before the center spine. Okay, so let's talk about how this looks and the center spine. Because if you look at my Instagram, I actually messed this up one time because I was knitting along and not really paying attention. So here's spine, 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 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is my center spine right here. Wait, I was counting that. 1, 2, 3. This is my center spine. And if I like, I can put a little clippy marker in there so it's not visually confusing for me to find it, especially when we just have a little bit of work. On my finished brioche shawl here, it is easy to see the center spine, right? Because there's so much to go by. But when things are kind of scrunched up on the needles, it's harder to see, especially when you first start. So you want to work the slip 1 yarn over, brioche knit 1 twice on your first time through. Get a marker in there so you can see what you're doing. Then 1 more slip 1 yarn over, and we do that knit 1 yarn over, knit 1 yarn over, knit 1 increase in that stitch. And then from there, it's just like what we were doing before. So that's why I wanted to get you through row 3 so you could see how we're going to mark the center spine and keep track of that, because at one point, like the Instagram photo I just told you about, I got my increases off at one point, and I took a picture of it because it was kind of a knucklehead thing that ended up looking really cool. It started looking like branches of a tree, but I ripped back, which is a nice lead in to the next thing I'm going to say. So while you're working on this, I should just slip these stitches over here. Brioche stitch is not the easiest thing to rip back and fix if you make a mistake. So we are going to use lifelines. I highly recommend using lifelines. You can use lifelines if you're familiar with them, use them however you like them. People always say, you should put dental floss in the little hole at the base of your interchangeables cord. I don't like to do it that way. I like to use some cotton thread yarn and a tapestry needle, slide my stitches to the cord part, and then just put the tapestry needle through all of the stitches. And then just keep knitting like it's not there. And the reason for doing that is that if you do make a mistake, you can rip back to this spot, just take your needles out, rip back to this spot, and all your stitches are held safely on this scrap yarn. Super easy to pick back up, especially if you have them around your stitch marker. There we go. And here is the example that I have. This is a little sample I knit up, and I have my lifeline in place. After I put the lifeline in place, I kept knitting along like it wasn't there. We're going to pretend like I made a mistake and I need to rip back to this spot. So I'm just going to undo the knitting, and would you look at that? All my stitches are held safely. I just take my needle and follow the lifeline to get all my stitches picked back up. Now it's important to put your lifelines in at regular intervals. Let's take a look at my shawl again, because I left all the lifelines in just to show you. Actually, I want to do this side. Here are all my lifelines. I'm putting them in every time I finish row 4 twice, right? So I'm not doing it every time I finish row 4, but every time I finish row 4 twice, I'm putting one in. So if I do have to rip back to one of these spots, I'll know where to pick up. I pick up with row 1 on the next row. So I can knit ahead and not be worried at all about making a mistake, because it's all held safely on those lifelines. Whew, okay, we got through all of the setup rows, and we got through the pattern, and once you get through past the setup rows, it's the same thing over and over again. It actually kind of ends up being good TV knitting. It's pretty fun. Many thanks to Zen Yarn Garden and their beautiful yarns that we get to use on this shawl. Again, your free pattern and your Luxe Blanks yarn are just waiting for you. Just click the little eye in the upper right-hand corner. Was there anything else that I wanted to say? No, I think we got all of it. I hope you really, oh, except for the pattern might have a different name by the time this video comes out, but still the same instructions. It'll still be the same instructions. Anyway, I hope you enjoy the pattern. Good luck.